Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Spooky Mountain. You have Steph and you got Jordi right here. It's post-Christmas.
Yeah, a few days.
Post-Christmas.
2 days.
2 days ago. Wait, what's the date today?
Yeah,
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yep. How are you feeling? How was your Christmas?
It was really good. I had a really good Christmas. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
What did you get up to?
I had everyone, I think, just like you, I had everyone over at mine.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that you were going to have Christmas at your place.
We were so lucky because of COVID. Like, it's just rampant at the moment. Like, everyone
Holy
we know has got
shit.
fucking COVID.
Yes.
And everyone was doing tests before they came over.
Oh, that's really good.
But
That's really good.
man, some people are still waiting for tests. It's crazy. So yeah, anyway, we finally had people over. We all got really drunk. Yeah, we had the sprinkler. We had board games, Christmas music. It was like a real classic, like Australian
Christmas.
Yeah, it was really good.
Were there any blues over the board games? Any like biffs?
No.
Like family biffs over the board games?
No, it was actually, I don't even know why we started playing it so late. It was like 10:30 at night. No one was staying over either. So we were playing Boulder Dash.
Oh, I haven't played that. I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
It's so fun because you just have to get really creative, which is what I think is the funniest. And you have to say everything, convince everyone that it's the truth. But like everyone was just so drunk that they were just completely fucking everything up. And it was really funny. Yeah, it was a really good time. How was yours?
Awesome. Well, yeah, it was good. I had a massive Christmas because so my partner is Slovakian and they do their Christmas on the 24th.
Oh.
And kind of also on the 25th, but mainly the big celebration is the 24th and we had all of his family over and their partners and kids of the partners and you just do massive amounts of food and it's dinner as well. So it kind of goes quite late into the night. So I was feeling a little bit hairy after that one, like waking up in the morning and being, I drank so much champagne.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Drank so much champagne. I also went out Christmas light looking.
Oh, cool.
In an interval of that night, I had to duck away and I drank just like so much champagne with my mum and just got super pissed. Came back, drank more, woke up extremely hungover and having to just clean the whole house in preparation for my family's Christmas that day at lunchtime.
That's fucked because we're still the dishes are fucked still. We're just I can't deal with it yet.
It's a lot of dishes, isn't it? Well, how many people did you have at
we
your place?
had 6 adults and 2 kids. So really not much at all. But
but the kids make the difference though.
The kids made a lot of mess, which is fine. Like that's obviously fine. But but then we just overestimated the amount of food we had as well. Like we barely could fit our dinner plates on the table because we had that much food. It was ridiculous.
Food, it's a good problem to have for sure. We had a lot of food as well. So it was our first time like hosting Christmas and so we had leftover food from the pre-Christmas Christmas and then we had
reuse it for the real Christmas day.
Reuse it. But I felt really weird about reusing it though because we were thinking, we'll have heaps of leftovers. We can use that for my family.
No one will know.
Yeah, just put some garnish on it. It's okay. But I was thinking, that's weird. I kind of want all fresh food, but it was really nice also because I am an avid and obsessive collector of coloured vintage glass.
Ah, yes.
And like glassware, like servingware, which is a pretty niche, interest.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I never really use it. And so I just had the most beautiful Christmas table.
Nice.
Oh, it was so lovely. I mainly collect pink and green glassware.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so rare. You'd hardly...
It is.
I don't even think... I've got like a lot of like that orange like 70s kind of brownie one, but that's all I've been able to see.
Yeah, that's really nice. The amber coloured glass is really beautiful. It is very 70s as
Super
well.
70s, yeah.
I love, it's called depression glass. So it's from mainly like the Depression era of the 30s, I think that is. But yeah, I never really use it because I'm kind of scared of breaking it. But, so Christmas time, we were all eating off, pink dinner plates, and I had serving plates. And, and then combined with the green, I have green glasses, and it was just so lovely. It felt very Christmassy and beautiful. Yeah. But oh god, we're just all so drunk. Yeah. as well. Yeah. So a few pieces got broken, but that's okay because glassware
the
combined with alcohol.
Help you deal with that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Everyone listening, I'm having a leftover Christmas champagne right now just to
look, good on you.
Celebrate.
I'm on my waters.
On the waters. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, Steph is always a hydrated bitch, and we love that for
her. But in a really cool glass.
I love your glasses. Yeah. Steph always has really cool
this weird selection of mugs and glasses and stuff. But there's always like water in it. This is water or coffee.
That's good. I'm glad that mine's always tea,
you've
coffee,
got
or alcohol.
Some sort of
always something. Yeah. I've always got something. I always drink 4 or 5 drinks at one time. Not alcohol drinks. I usually only have one alcohol.
There's one alcohol.
But I drink a lot of my liquids out of alcohol-looking glasses, though. So it always looks like I'm drinking booze, but it's
just chalky milk.
Yeah, just chalky milk, just, apple juice that looks like wine. It's fine. So we got some shit we need to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, let's first tell each other our
stories, of course. That's what we're here for, isn't it?
Yeah, let's touch on those because, we have got a bit of let's do that. Housekeeping to do. I've got a sad one today. I'm very sorry, but it's very fucking interesting.
Yeah. I'm feeling suspiciously fragile today.
So sorry. And I'm sure people will shed a tear. But it's very interesting to me. It's very fucking weird. I think you'll like it, although you'll be sad. And I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I may shed a tear. You may get a tear from me, but that's okay. It's all right to cry.
What's your one?
My one is a fantastic story that you for sure know about, because I didn't know about this story. So this might give it away. I didn't actually know about this event, this thing that happened, until you mentioned it in passing. And I think it was in our interview with Cryptids in Your Backyard. I'm pretty sure that's when I heard you mention it.
Okay.
So
I mentioned a lot of stuff in that interview, so okay.
Yeah. A lot of stuff was spoken about. So it's a cryptid story, and it's a quite famous cryptid story.
Hell yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say is because you might get it if I say any more.
All right, sweet. Hell yeah. All right.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, let's so let's first off, so this episode that's out now, we're actually going to have a little cheeky break. So this will be the last one of the year. It's just 1 week, so we're not going on like a fucking, 3-month holiday. It's literally just a week off.
It's just a week.
And we'll be back on the 12th.
Just to get over our Christmas hangovers and eat some more ham and
finish off the champagne in the house.
Exactly.
Got a bit of work to do, so.
Yeah, but we'll be back within the week. Yeah. We also have a couple of new reviews, which is super fucking awesome. Hint, hint, go leave us a review if you're listening to us right now.
Yeah. On Spotify too. Spotify have done their rating system. So
that's right.
Finally.
That is so helpful for people like Steph and I, because reviews really kind of
get us more noticed.
And that is kind of everything.
It's just a really simple 5-star rating. So if you head over there just to our main page on Spotify, hit the 5 stars. We'll love you forever. That would be amazing.
Love you forever. But so our first review is from the always amazing and fantastic Ailey. And Ailey said, such a great listen with 2 spooky gals, 10 out of 10 entertainment. Thank you so much, Ailey, for the beautiful review.
Glad we can entertain you.
Yeah, we're pretty entertaining.
I think so, yeah. And then we've also got one. These girls are so entertaining and really friendly. They interact well with their fans on socials, and the stories are so well researched and explained. Great work, girls. And that is from Dee Dee Poo.
Dee Poo, thank you.
Poo. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It almost rhymes.
Okay, that was good. That was great. And I love how you both are using the word entertainment as well because,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I think it's funny, like when we started, we're like, let's do like a really spooky, scary one. But you just end up becoming like, is this a comedy now? Is this more of like a comedic podcast than anything?
Oh my God. Half the time we're talking about poo and
Maggots.
maggots and all sorts of things.
So yeah, I'm glad everyone's rolling with us.
Oh, actually, after our next piece of housekeeping, I got to tell you the funniest little story.
Oh my
as
God.
well.
Okay. Hell yeah.
But yeah, our next piece of housekeeping is we have a couple of new patrons.
Oh.
We have 2 new patrons, which is absolutely fucking mind blowing for Steph and I.
I don't even understand. Yeah, this is so exciting for us.
I don't know.
We were like,
it really is.
really not sure if we should do Patreon yet, and we've already got 4 patrons. So we've just had Bronte sign up to Patreon, and also Jonathan as well. So thank you so much. They both are now a Hobblin Goblin, part of the
2
Goblin tier.
Goblins.
So everyone is at this point. So everyone's in the Discord. Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys signing up. It means a lot to us, and we've got a lot of stuff over there. We've got some like behind the scenes photos of things we've been doing. Couple of videos as well. I uploaded a little vlog today, and the Christmas episode as well.
Yeah, that's probably the main thing is our Christmas episode, because it's the episode that you can get through the podcast, but it's the video, and we look very cute. It's a drunk as fuck episode. We're adorable and very pink, red, drunk.
Super
it's great.
Red, yeah, beetroot.
So so you should all sign up to Patreon to see our drunk faces.
Talk shit with us on Discord. Like, I want to talk shit with you guys. If you want to, like, please. I want to hear your weird shit to talk about.
Yeah, we talk a lot of shit on Discord, so that's always a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, now that's out of the way. So what are you going to tell me?
Oh, it's just like the smallest thing. And it's happened before, but it happened again the other day. And I just honestly was laughing for probably 10 minutes straight.
What happened?
I was editing one of our recordings. And so I'm not sure if Steph is the same, but when you're editing an episode or a recording, you might hear a weird noise that kind of stands out a little bit too much. You know, you want to leave in some weird noises, but this noise was a little bit suspicious. And so you mute all the audio apart from that little section, and it sounded like a fart.
Oh.
It sounded like, and this has happened before, but it happened again.
Look, I'm gonna say I do have a squeaky chair. It's a bit of a.
Oh, okay.
It is very squeaky, but I also do fart all the fucking time. So
me too. Oh yeah, both of us are big farters.
Okay. And that's the thing. I'm listening to it. I don't even know my own sound anymore. I'm just like, was that my chair?
Oh my God, Steph. Well, the thing is, it was on my line of audio.
Okay. Well,
because Steph and I don't want to get too boring about editing shit, but you've got 2 lines of audio, and one's Steph and one is mine. You can see who the farter is. You can hear who the farter is. This time, it must have been me.
That's so good. Oh my God.
But it was so funny. It was the cutest little fart.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, it's always weird listening to like weird background noises. Like right now, my cats are behind me chasing a very large cockroach. Oh, I said cockroach in that. Yep. So I usually hear that in the background when I'm editing, and there's always some nice little special treats in the editing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's very funny to like listen back and edit too. So, I've got a question for you.
Oh yeah.
Has there been any progression on the handprints in your bathroom? Because the last episode, we were talking about the handprints. I want to know if they appeared again or did they not?
I'm glad you brought it up. They have appeared again. So
they have appeared again.
It's something that is just always there now. I don't know how it took me so long to even see this.
But that's the thing, is that you hadn't noticed them until now, which is a bit strange.
And what's very frustrating is that I did put it on the socials, and everyone seemed to think that there were sexy hands, and they're not my sexy hands.
It looks
okay?
like they might be sexy hands.
And I know when everyone was saying it, I was like, okay, they really do. They really do look like that.
It reminds me of sexy hands.
But I can assure you, I would not post that.
If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it's just use your imagination.
Literally, like,
there's sexy time going
on the wall, but it's fucking creepy. I hate it so much. Like, I really don't like it.
Yeah. Has anything else aside from like the handprints and the towing the person in the leg thing?
No, not really. There's been a couple of nights lately where my boyfriend has like left me home alone because he's had to go and do some stuff for his family.
Okay.
And it is quite unsettling being alone in a quite a big house. Which is always weird.
Yeah, because you're in a big house, aren't you?
Yeah, it's quite big. So I'm like, going around like locking all the doors, and like I've got all this like assortment of weapons underneath my bed, which are yeah.
For anyone out there listening who is thinking about approaching Steph's house, don't fuck with
We've always
Steph.
just had weapons next to bed. Like I've got like a little mini hunting knife.
That's cool.
And then also Dylan, this was like years ago. We were just heaps drunk walking back from a party, and there was a printer on the ground. Like someone's just chucked out a printer, and Dylan just booted the printer, and it just exploded into 1,000 pieces. And this metal pole was inside the printer, which is the most heavy metal solid pole ever, and he's just had that pole because it's like about 2 feet long, and
it's a good weapon,
and it's just literally by the side of his bed all the time. So I know that's
Why
there.
not?
I've got the hunting knife as well, and so I say an assortment, but I've got 2 within hand's reach, so don't fuck with me.
I mean, that's definitely assortment. We have just a random, like, actually you might be able to see it. It's just over there.
I see a hand. Yep. Okay.
We have a sword.
Yeah.
We have a sword in our
good.
house because my boyfriend is a crazy Eastern European dude who thinks he's a fucking
That's mad.
warlock or something like that. Yeah, but he's also quite obsessed with really good quality, and so am I to a degree. Really good quality knives for like
they're
cooking
amazing.
and stuff, and hunting knives and like switchblades and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we have some really, really
I love good knives.
sharp knives. Oh yeah, nothing better than a sharp knife to cook with. So yeah, we don't keep them near the bed, but they're definitely scattered around the house.
Well, that's the thing. You've got a baby in the house. That's the thing. I see.
Yeah. And she's just at that height now where she can grab shit off the bench. And
you don't
we
want a baby with knives. Oh my god.
Oh no. But she's pretty wild, so I don't know. Won't be too long until she'll be allowed the knives to play with.
Yeah,
just joking.
Doing the little
switchy blade things in your hand. Yeah.
I don't even know what that's fucking called, but I'm sure you can all imagine what I'm doing.
The switch thing.
We're all moving our hands around and imagining there's lots of little knives in our fingers.
No one can see us,
Oh
but
my
yeah.
God.
It's late, evereveron. It's
no
very
idea.
late at night.
No, I'm losing my damn mind.
I think we're both a bit tired.
Let's get into my story, I think. Because
let's cry some fucking tears.
No, I don't want it. I didn't want this to be sad, but there are some sad parts. So it is more, it's a paranormal topic, pretty much. And it's still not been explained. It hasn't been explained, and it stumps pretty much everyone that comes across this story. And we're going to Scotland. So more specifically, Dunbarton, which is a beautiful, lush little commuter town, which most people just travel to Glasgow from. So there's not really much going on there. But it's on the water. It's surrounded by lots of agriculture, just like a lot of rural UK, if you can picture that really. lots of little farms
I
and
can picture
stuff.
it exactly in my mind, like rolling green, luscious hills and
like a largish
forests,
village kind of thing, and so pretty much exactly that. And in this town, there's a small castle mansion, and it's named the Overton House. Now, this was built in 1862 by James White, and he later died in 1884. So his son John inherited the house and planned to extend the driveway over this very deep ravine so everyone could gain access to the property a bit easier because it was in this very awkward spot. So he hired an architect to build this bridge over the ravine and wanted to make it look like the same design as the house. So this is very old brick, fancy looking mansion. So kind of all matched.
I can imagine the brick, kind of old stone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Bloody beautiful. So it's on a very large property as well, really beautiful grounds, landscaped gardens and everything like that. Now, this bridge that was built, it's pretty much like a pedestrian bridge. It's not, or like a one-way road. It's quite narrow, but yeah, it literally leads right to the house. Now no one thought anything strange about this bridge until the 1950s when the locals started referring to the bridge as the Bridge of Death or Dog Suicide Bridge.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's...
No, this is why it's sad.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, Steph.
I'm on the first page.
I
know.
There's definitely going to be tears shed tonight. Okay.
Oh, God. This is because they have reported people walking over the bridge with their dogs, only to have them randomly jump off the side of the bridge into the ravine very far below. Sadly, at least 50 dogs have died, and around 300 to 600 have actually jumped but survived, although quite traumatized from it. Yeah.
That's a lot of not just dogs dying, but dogs jumping from the bridge. I would like to know what the standard number is across the world averagely.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like, this is not something that anyone talks about. Like,
no, not at all. It's probably because it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's it. It's very fucking weird. So just to give you an idea, it's about a 50-foot drop from the top of this bridge.
Okay.
And it is
it's pretty tall.
Yeah. And it's a really popular spot for people to come and walk and take their dogs, as it links to the Overton House's large grounds. So it's like this big, beautiful garden that everyone just walks around all the time. And the bridge is so amazing to look at, let alone to walk on it, I'm sure. It's got these 3 large arches underneath, like big stone archways. And it's all surrounded by really big green lush trees and vines everywhere. It's like amazing.
That sounds lovely.
And the bridge isn't too long either. It's only about 40 meters long, so 135 feet. And it has 2 little spots on the side of the bridge. So both sides of the bridge have 2 lookouts. So 4 in total. And they only come out about a meter from the bridge, so you just kind of step on this little outing bit. But yeah, I think I've posted the images of it, so it's best to look at it instead of explaining it. But the reason why I mention this is because the dogs, they have all said to jump from only one of those ledges, which is
so it's not
weird.
even just
not at random. There's one particular spot that they all jump from. There's no visible difference from any of the others. So when, no one's sure if the dogs are seeing something or hearing something from this particular spot, or is it something from the other side that's influencing the dogs to leap to their deaths?
Yeah.
So dog owners have reported walking over the Overton Bridge only to have their dogs seem possessed and run straight for the lookout, then proceed to jump off into the ravine below.
Oh, that would be horrible to
Mm.
experience your dog doing that.
It would be so bad.
Yeah.
Some people have even said that their dog had jumped off only to survive and then later had jumped off the bridge again on a second occasion. And
that's just,
it's so
insane.
bad. And of course,
So bad.
all the dog owners are like, look, this is completely out of character for my dog. Like,
oh, well, this is it. Yeah,
like
you know your
that
dog's
doesn't make
behaviors.
sense.
Yeah.
And in 2016, Lottie McKinnon was walking over the bridge with her dog, and they've done this many times before, only for her to sense something had changed with her dog, Bonnie. Quote, something overcame Bonnie as soon as we approached the bridge. At first, Bonnie froze, but then she became possessed by a strange energy and ran and jumped right off the parapet. So the good news is that her dog did survive the fall.
Oh, Bonnie survived.
Yeah, Bonnie survived, but she's
that's
like,
good.
we're not
Okay.
fucking going back to that bridge ever again.
Fuck no.
No
Yeah, of
way.
course. No.
And David and Louise McPhail, they've taken their dog Sophie for a walk in 2011. And before they even had time to think what was happening, the dog had already leapt off the bridge. Quote, I started shouting to David, Sophie's jumped off the bridge. She's jumped off the bridge. It just happened so fast in seconds. I didn't have any time.
Sophie survive?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
she did.
Okay.
Yeah. Luckily. In 2014, Kenneth Meikle was with his family and about to take their golden retriever Cassie for a walk. As they went to the location, quote, I had parked up, and as she's so obedient, I didn't put her lead on. Me and my son walked toward Cassie, who was staring at something above the bridge. She definitely saw something that made her jump. There is something sinister going on. It was so out of character for her.
Oh, that's strange that the dog was looking above the bridge and then
which there's nothing there.
jumped.
Yeah.
No, that is so bizarre.
It's very, very freaky. Now, these are only a few of the cases, you know. There's hundreds of these. And also quick to happen with no explanation, you know, just within like a few seconds. And it's just happened. And so many dogs actually started to jump that the Prevention of Cruelty for Animals had actually started to investigate the location, but they couldn't find any conclusions at all.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if they were checking out the location because they were thinking that maybe bad dog owners were...
They thought people were doing it on purpose.
Maybe someone started it and then others began to follow.
Maybe,
They couldn't find anything though.
Now, for a lot of people, including myself, my thoughts go towards the Overton House, which is literally at the end of the bridge. So it's super old and it looks really haunted and must have something going on in there. All the grounds, at least. There's got to be something. So a lot of the locals do claim to see ghosts on the property and also tend to feel really strange on the bridge and the grounds as well. And a local taxi driver mentioned in an article that he had actually grown up in the area and always used to play on the grounds as a child. He said that they all believed in ghosts as they had all felt or seen something there, and that the people in Dunbarton are very superstitious.
Right. And Scottish people in general are pretty... I was going to say suspicious, but that's not right.
Superstitious.
What's the word? Superstitious.
Yeah.
And
I'm half
suspicious.
Scottish. You better watch it.
I know. Oh, that's right. I'm pretty Scottish as well, so we're both very suspicious. It's a very superstitious place.
Pretty much the whole town's just like, it's a weird place.
It's a weird place, yep. So this is a general consensus amongst the
definitely.
the town. Okay.
And this also includes Paul Owens, who actually wrote a book all about this phenomenon. So he is a philosophy professor and local ghost expert. So when he published this book, he researched this topic for 11 years, and he claims that it's a fucking ghost that is causing these dogs to jump. He's just like, it's a ghost, man.
It's a ghost. Well, I mean,
after all that research, he's like,
exactly.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Exactly. This is the thing. If you researching it for that long, and you've come to that conclusion, it's a pretty big statement. You're not
I
going to
know.
say
People
that just on a
have
whim.
all their eyes on you and your book and your research.
Oh,
Because you've
yeah,
put in all
yeah.
this time and then you're coming out saying,
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people would be happy with that conclusion. And then also people would be like, no, I'm sorry. Like, it's
It's
not.
just
But
wild. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's fucking weird. But yeah, it's not just any ghost as well. It's actually the White Lady of Overton. So she was the grieving widow of John White, James's son.
Right.
So this is a very popular local theory, as lots of people have experienced seeing ghostly figures. Mrs. Overton had been living alone for 30 years after the death of her husband in 1908, and she never recovered from the loss of her husband.
Yeah.
People claim to see her ghostly figure walking around the grounds and have even spotted her in the windows of the Overton house overlooking the bridge.
Oh, so she's actually been seen.
Yeah. Very
Okay.
creepy.
Yeah.
So Emma Dunlop. Now, she's a local who also walked across the bridge many times, and she's heard all the horror stories, didn't really think too much of them. And she parked her car and her Labrador Ginger would just wait in the car until she would come over and put the leash on. Emma states he's never tried to jump, but sometimes he freezes or hesitates when he gets on the bridge, so I'm always careful. So, yeah, that it's a bit of a weird one. I think luckily for Emma, she's a bit wary. Like it's in the back of your mind where you're like,
her mind.
I've never seen anything happen, but you've always got to be cautious. Yeah. So she wasn't too worried. However, this one time, Ginger jumped out of the car, which is completely out of character, raced around Emma and started heading towards the bridge with no hesitation at all. As she approached the bridge, Ginger froze and looked back intently at something on the bridge, which Emma couldn't see. She said she couldn't see it at all, but Ginger was just completely like in a gaze staring at this thing.
Oh, I know that gaze as well. My dog does that sometimes too.
Yeah, like this. They can see a different realm of things for sure.
Yeah,
Same with
yeah.
cats. My cats do it all the time. I hate it.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty spooky.
Yeah. Now, she says, look, she's claiming it to be the White Lady of Overton, but obviously she doesn't know. Luckily, Ginger didn't jump or anything. They just managed to continue their walk as normal, but it was just a very strange thing.
Each time you bring up a new dog,
I'm
I'm
on
like,
edge.
oh, this is it. Oh, this is when the dog dies.
And in 1994... Now, this is an extremely tragic incident that happened here. Now, there was a local man who was very mentally ill, and he threw his baby son off the bridge to kill him.
Oh, and this is worse than a
I know.
dog.
So this has really tainted that kind of area as well. He thought the baby was an antichrist because it had a birthmark on him or something. And then later on, he tried to take his own life on the bridge as well.
Fuck me.
I know. So all the locals they're like, this is not that it caused the haunting, but because it's been going on since the 50s, but he might have been he was obviously mentally ill already, but they think that maybe something on the bridge made him do it.
Made it worse.
Made the situation worse.
Yeah.
And obviously it's like a super tragic thing. None of the locals are making excuses for what he did, but yeah, just the energy could have made the situation a lot worse.
Yeah,
also, the weird thing is that when he threw his son and himself, it was on the exact same spot on the bridge as the dogs
as where the dogs jump. What the fuck is with this spot?
This is the weirdest thing that people find. Like, why this spot? There's not a particular more of a clearing to the floor. There's no ledge that you can access easier. It's just a very strange thing.
It's the same as all the other.
Every single one is the same spot
on the bridge. Yeah.
And Paul Owens, so he's the one who wrote the book, stated he was found to be mentally ill, but I know a lot of local people believe the bridge has some mystic powers. A lot of people have experienced a strange presence on the bridge itself, and many have seen ghosts around the estate. I had a very strange experience when I was researching my book and taking photographs of the estate. I was standing on the bridge when I felt a phantom finger jab me in the back twice. It felt like I was on a train platform and someone was trying to push me off. It was very scary.
Oh yeah, I know that prod.
Yeah,
I know the prod. Yep, that he's talking about while on the train platform.
That nudge before.
Yeah, go on, get the fuck out.
Yeah. And so what are the experts saying? I hear we all got to get to what the experts are saying.
Yeah, where are the experts?
where is the actual evidence here? Now, there's been many researchers and animal experts that have looked into this strange location. Many of them are saying it must be a strong scent that the dogs are getting from the mice, the squirrels, mink as well, which gives us a very strong smell, apparently, but they live below the bridge. They try to explain this further by saying that the dogs, they've got a better sense of smell than humans, so that's why it's only affecting them. But it doesn't answer the question as to why this bridge and not all the other bridges in Scotland or the rest of the world, different countries.
Well, this is true. I'm sure there's plenty of bridges that have lots of animals living underneath.
So many similar situations, It's weird that this is like the one bridge. Doesn't make sense.
That's fucking strange.
And why are they, jumping from the same spot as well?
Yeah.
A researcher found that actually most of the dogs that had jumped had really long snouts, which means that they're very good at scent tracking. So that was just a weird thing that he found. And also another thing to add is that all the dogs jumped on a very clear day. So not a cloud in the sky, right in the daylight. No one's been able to figure that out, but it's just something that they've kind of linked together.
It does make me think as to whether, like, in terms of scents and dogs picking up scents on clear days as opposed to like a windy or overcast day, whether it's easier or harder, whatever,
that's true.
To pick up a scent on different like weather patterns and clear days and stuff. But it like either way, it's very strange. It's
very strange. There's also been another theory that a nearby nuclear submarine was giving off some sort of frequency that only the dogs can hear, because there is like a port nearby that has submarines. So that's why they're like, oh, it could be that submarine. However, that's been disproven because they said that the acoustic, it doesn't. Like it literally can't. It's not that close at all, and it just doesn't make sense.
And why would this make them jump from one particular spot in the bridge?
I know.
Like the one exact...
It's too specific. It doesn't make any sense. So, also, can dogs kill themselves? Like, do they know that they're doing this? Like, Dr. David Sands, so he's a canine psychologist, and he reports that dogs can definitely get depressed, like any animal. They can definitely get depressed, but they can't take their own lives as they live in the moment. So they don't think about the future the same way humans do. But there have been a handful of strange cases in the past of other animals that have taken their lives before. So Kathy, who was the dolphin used in the show Flipper, she drowned herself in front of everyone.
In front of everyone?
Yeah, in front of like a trainer and everything, because they kept her in like a really small pool.
Oh, no.
As most psychotic people do. I know, like...
Oh, God, it makes me so upset.
It's so horrible.
It's all
I
good.
know.
Kathy, I'm sorry.
We're moving on. Then we got 2009, 28 cows walked off a cliff together holding hands in the Swiss Alps. No, they didn't hold hands, but yeah, they were,
But they did.
In unison, they all went down together.
I was imagining cows holding...
I'm trying to make it a bit like... trying to make it a bit lighter here.
Just to make the mass cow suicide easier to like more palatable.
I'm trying so hard. There's also a small number of dogs that have been recorded to do this as well. 1845, there was a dog that held his head under the water till it stopped breathing.
This is fucking hell.
Completely
Steph,
out of character.
Doing?
I know.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is the one and only. I know.
Oh.
Yeah, everyone knew this dog really well. And they're like, no, he wouldn't have done this. Like, he knew how to swim. It just makes no sense.
Oh, yeah. So it wasn't like he just accidentally drowned. It was,
So there have been things in the past, I guess, where it's like, look, they do know what they're doing to an extent. So you can kind of cross that off the list where it's like, okay, well, maybe something is telling them to do it. Who knows? There's so many different things that could be the reason for this. It is so strange. I like to think that it is probably like a ghostly figure or some paranormal aspect of it, because it's in a very old location. I'm not sure if it doesn't seem like it has too much of like a tragic past. Like, you know, there has been like a couple of deaths in the house, but it doesn't seem to be like anything to do with dogs. Like, I just don't know how the dogs get linked to it. Usually humans kind of get wrapped up in the sort of paranormal things. So it's a very interesting story. Although it is really sad. I'm sorry to end it on such a sad note, but I had to keep you all hanging on, you know?
Yeah, that was a great story. Yeah. I wonder if maybe there was one of the owners or one of the residents of the house hated dogs.
Maybe.
And so they're sending them off the bridge. That could be a thing. Point. Because they also say that dogs have a sixth sense and they are able to see and sense and see ghosts. I know my mum and dad's cat, she does some weird shit. Like, she'll watch something that's you know, in a weird part of the house, and it's just like a, you know, blank wall or something.
Oh, I hate it.
Just staring at it.
I hate it. My cats do that all the time. They'll literally stand in the corner of a room and look up at nothing, and their eyes are wide open, and I'm just like, stop. No, but you're scaring Mum.
Looking at scaring, mate. Mummy's scared. Mummy's scared.
Like turning all the lights.
Yeah, animals are weird like that. So I wonder if they are like, you know, maybe these dogs are saying something. Maybe there was a dog hater on the property, or, you know, something like that. Or maybe it's an animal that is just luring them off the bridge.
The big mink smell, the dank mink underneath there is just wafting up, and they're like, gotta get that mink. They're just jumping off.
But I mean, there was that dog that kind of stared above the bridge.
That's weird, yeah.
Dogs seeming like they're possessed and all sorts of weird shit.
There's so many weird fucking things to go into with it. It's so strange.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah, there's a really good Vice doco on it as well.
Oh, cool. Oh, I'll definitely watch that. Awesome. So we've now had like 2 pretty sad stories on the podcast. We've had the dog taking their lives, and we've had the Ghost of Japan tsunami story. 2 very sad stories. Well, my story, it's not sad.
Good.
It's pretty wild though. Yes. And as I said, you've definitely heard of it before. Hell so I'm just waiting for you to hopefully I'm like really just wanting to impress Steph, our cryptid person tonight. I'm just so wanting to get your approval.
I love my cryptid stories. I'm so in.
Yeah. So I'm sure this is one that you already enjoy, because you do already know it. So I'm just gonna get into it. So all right. My story this week is probably one of the weirdest reported cryptid encounters that we have so far. And it's also one of the most infamous. So I'm going to be talking about the Battle of Ape Canyon.
Oh my God, amazing. Oh my God, great.
Yeah.
That's so
fantastic
good.
Story. So I'd never heard of it until, you know, you mentioned it, and I was thinking,
it's so wild. Yeah. It's crazy to think that this happened.
Yes, and I don't know how much detail you know, but we're going to get into some pretty interesting detail today or tonight. About this story.
Ooh, so I'm excited. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. So Ape Canyon, as strange as it sounds, is actually a place that really exists within America. It's a gorge that runs along the edge of the Plains of Abraham, which is a location on the southeast shoulder of Mount St Helens, Washington, which is the same place where the infamous volcano erupted in 1980. Ugh. So I don't know how much you know about the Mount St Helens eruption,
not much.
It was pretty hectic. It was
Right.
pretty hectic. So,
In
one
the
of the biggest,
80s?
yeah, in the 80s. Oh, no, really, not that long ago.
Yeah.
But it was a huge explosion that the reason why it's so big as well, like the story or this explosion is so famous, is because usually with volcanoes,
Right.
the eruption comes out kind of up
Yeah.
out of the volcano, like vertically, but this eruption came out almost diagonally out the side of the volcano, and because of the huge amount of force, I think it was maybe like three Hiroshimas or something like that.
What the fuck?
So a huge explosion, and because of the force and the angle that it erupted, the whole side of the mountain just landslided
God.
it. So this isn't just a small amount of land. This is a huge mountain with the whole side just collapsed. And there was a lot of snow that melted from the heat, and this caused flooding and all sorts of just chaotic shit happened from this explosion. And
wow, okay.
yeah, so it's a very, very famous American eruption. And Ape Canyon was actually hugely affected by this eruption. So the layout of this area now is quite different to how it used to be, including how it would have looked during the time that this story took place. So back in the date that this story is set, it wouldn't have looked the way that Mount St Helens looks now.
Yeah.
So these days, if you were to say the words Ape Canyon, it's not so much the popular tourist location that you think of. It's what happened there, which is the event that is the canyon's namesake and what is mainly what people think of. So Ape Canyon was named from this story. So what happened? It was a mild summer's night in April 1924, and there was a group of 5 miners staying in a little log cabin in the gorge that hadn't been named Ape Canyon yet. By this point, it just would have been under a different name, or it probably didn't even have a name, really. These miners were prospecting for gold a number of miles away from the cabin in an area named the Muddy, which is a branch of the Spirit Lake, which is directly north of Ape Canyon.
Okay.
The whole area is really just prospected for gold.
Yeah.
It was quite common for prospectors searching for gold here, and often miners would travel the distance to stay in the mountain during their expedition, which is why this log cabin was constructed to facilitate people staying on the mountain. So log cabin that this main story is based around, it was built for the miners who came to the
miners
to the
in and
mountain.
out of there all the time. Just
Because usually if you come for searching for gold, you don't just come and go. You stay for a few days and
Okay.
So while the group of 5 prospectors were searching for gold and traveling all around the mountain, the gorges, canyons and rivers, a number of these men noticed very strange foot tracks on the ground in different locations. Yeah, this made the men quite apprehensive, as there had been much talk of weird mountain devils in the area for at least 60 years.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Which was mainly talk from the local Indigenous people of this area. But even aside from just local Indigenous talk, there had been just many, many sightings and, talk of weird kind of creatures being in this area.
Okay.
Despite these foot tracks and the men's apprehension, they carried on prospecting because they were just hungry for that gold.
Yeah.
And it would have been just a huge waste of a trip to leave because of some foot tracks in the ground.
Right.
They decided to stay for at least another day of gold searching. The men headed back to the cabin, tired and weary from a big, hard and laboriously physical day searching for gold in the rugged terrain. They started to bunker down for the evening in the cabin as it got dark, and they began to make a start on dinner. It was around this time when they were preparing their meal that the men started to notice a strange whistling noise coming from outside the cabin from the surrounding woods.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. At first, they really didn't think too much about it, as you and I know, or you probably know as well, when you're out in the mountain or in nature and you're surrounded by nature, there are many strange noises from all different animals and just general nature sounds that happen.
Yeah. And you know, and it can be like wherever you live as well, you know very well what the noise, like we've got
the noises
koalas here, which most people don't know about, that koalas make really demonic noises.
They're fucking demonic. If you have not heard a koala noise, pause the podcast
mating
right now.
Call.
Mating call. Type in mating call into YouTube and lose your sleep for the night because it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's so fucked up.
Yeah, so we know, especially coming from Australia, that there's many weird nature, especially being in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah,
lots of weird nature sounds that you hear. But perhaps because the miners were still slightly on edge from seeing the foot tracks in the ground earlier that day, they paid a little bit more attention to these noises than what they usually would.
Yeah.
These noises also just sounded slightly different to all the other nature sounds that they were used to. So you do get quite used to the noises that you're hearing, but these just didn't sound right to the men.
Okay.
After an amount of time, growing more concerned of these whistles that were just becoming more distinct and constant, the men noticed that one whistle would occur on one side of the cabin, and then almost as if in response or communication to that original whistle, another would sound on the other side of the cabin, almost as if they were talking in whistles, or almost as if it was a type of communication.
Okay. Yeah, they know it's not like just a normal whistle. They can hear that.
No, not at all. It was strange, and the patterns of the whistles were just not sounding very good. Just not right. And this happened repeatedly, and it gave the men the very unnerving feeling of their whole cabin just being totally surrounded.
Yeah.
As the whistle did start happening all around them as well.
Hell.
So they were getting surrounded. It wasn't just one side and then the other side. It was like, whoo, like all around them kind of communicating. And they started hearing another strange noise as well. It was like a booming or a thumping noise that reminded them of when a gorilla would beat its chest.
We've heard that before.
Exactly. So when I learned about this part of the story, it reminded me so much of Tony, my friend Tony, who provided me with his Yowie story that I told weeks ago now. He said that with his encounter with a Yowie, he heard like a resonating booming noise as well. So I wonder if this is
very
somehow similar. Yeah, it's very similar, somehow related. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, maybe it's like a chest thumping or something like that. So despite the men being quite on edge by this point, by all the weird noises, they were still putting it mostly down to overactive wildlife in the area, probably just totally in denial about what they were hearing.
I mean, I'd be complete opposite of that, but
me too.
Good on them.
Me too. I wonder if it's a defense mechanism.
It's just like
big,
a really
strong
big,
men.
scary bird out there. It's probably nothing.
They're all just whistling to each other. It's fine. Thumping their chests and surrounding the cabin. It's all good. These men, they hadn't seen anything really, and it was just all noise, and they were big, tough men, so they just kind of pushed it to the side by this point. The group also desperately needed to collect spring water, so two of them decided to just brave it and head out to collect water.
Whoa. All right.
Which, I mean, you kind of need to get water. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but you need water. So they needed to go out to this spring to collect some water for themselves.
Out there with like pots and pans, like
yeah. Well, Exactly. Despite their bravery in this situation, they did decide to take guns with them.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Just in case. So they were anxious enough to take guns when they wouldn't usually.
Okay.
So they reached the water and tried their best to be just as quick as possible because they were nervous.
Yeah.
They finished up and hurried back to the cabin for the night as it was fast getting dark now. And they didn't want to get stuck out, not being able to see their way back home, especially with weird noises all around.
Yeah.
When the two men were on their way back home to the cabin, along their walking path, they started to make out a dark and large shadow ahead of them. As they got closer, they noticed that this shadow was a huge creature that looked like an ape, only much larger and much shaggier, standing on 2 feet at approximately 7 foot tall.
Right.
Again, we've seen this kind of frequently or heard about this frequently with, like Yowie and Bigfoot sightings is generally about 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
So absolutely shitting themselves during this moment, one of the men took out his rifle and shot at the creature. The men swore they saw the bullet graze the ape man's head before it ran off into an adjacent gorge and they just didn't see it again.
Oh, my God.
Which is terrifying, I think, just not knowing where it is as opposed to being able to see it and track what it's doing. Just not being able to, see it is pretty scary.
For sure.
The two men wasted no time to just leg it back to the cabin to tell the other men about what they saw. And when they got back, surprisingly, the two miners' story of the ape man that they just witnessed was not laughed at or poked at by the other miners. They all believed him.
That's good.
Which is good. It's not often that we hear this. Even apart from the rumoured mountain devils named by the local Indigenous people, there had been rumours of other creatures sighted around this area by a large number of prospectors over the years.
Right, okay.
So things have been seen before in this area. This, coupled with the weird noises that they had heard, made for some pretty convincing evidence that something was awry. The men decided they'd spend the night in the cabin, and in the morning, as soon as the sun was up, they'd grab their bags and gear and make the trip back home to safety. So the original plan was to stay for one more night. It's all good. But they were like, nah, fuck this. We're going home. They were over it.
Like that.
So after all this excitement, the men finished up dinner and then packed it in for the night because it was getting late.
Yeah.
Everyone was asleep when it reached approximately midnight, when there were extremely loud noises that woke up all the men.
God.
Very loud noises that was loud enough to wake up all the miners at the same time.
Fuck, I hate being woken up from sleep.
I know.
It's weird. I'll actually just say this. The other night, there wasn't a storm or anything, but the light from lightning in the distance was flashing. You couldn't hear thunder or anything.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like 2 a.m. There was no rain or anything. Fast asleep. And this bolts of lightning, I swear to God, it hit like a street away from us.
Oh, my God.
And me and Dylan literally just like sat up screaming because we were like in a deep sleep. And then that was it. Nothing else happened.
It's loud.
No
it's
rain.
Loud, isn't it?
Yeah. And we're just like, oh, what the fuck? And then we're just laying there for like another 2 hours, like heaps scared it was going to happen again. And then
especially if you're in a deep sleep and it just is so loud and wakes you up.
Both thought we were just having like an instant nightmare. Like it was so insane.
Yeah. I've just quickly, I've been asleep in a house that has been hit by lightning.
Oh, shit.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
It is. You can't even imagine how loud it is.
Yeah.
And it's so loud, it just vibrates your whole body and you just feel, I can't even describe it. It's like your whole body, I don't know if maybe it has something to do with like the electricity
Probably
as well.
does, yeah.
But you were just so...
Yeah, the amount of force that's coming down in the house is crazy.
And so fast. And it was like late at night, we were all asleep.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like that
that's
before
horrible.
until then. It was horrible, but kind of exciting as well. I did like it a little bit.
Oh, God.
All right, back to the story.
Yeah.
So, these men have just experienced a loud noise that has just woken them all up. And these were like big banging and slamming noises that woke the men up that sounded like they were being hit on the side of the cabin.
Okay.
One of the bangs was so loud and heavy that it knocked the chinking out from between two of the wooden logs of the cabin. And if anyone isn't sure what chinking is the synthetic sealer that is put between wooden logs when you're building something like a cabin. So it's basically to fill in the gaps and make it, waterproof and weatherproof as well, to make it whole. So that is what was knocked out, which is pretty wild because it's almost
very
like a glue.
secure, yeah.
Oh, yeah, very secure. They were absolutely shocked that this banging was able to knock the chinking out from the logs because it takes a lot to remove this from especially a wooden surface. One of the men walked up to where the sealant had come out from the log and peered through the hole that had now been created, I know, between the logs of the wall. And when he looked through the hole, he reported that he saw at least 3 huge ape men just standing there watching the cabin.
No.
So
I would literally set the cabin alight with me in it. If I saw that, I'd be like, we're going down together. We're all going down.
I know. Oh, what would you do? You just... because it's unlike anything you've ever seen before as well.
True.
It's just... so mind-blowing. And this would be the start of an attack that would become incredibly infamous in the cryptid world and would forever be known as the Battle of Ape Canyon. So this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
So the man who saw the creatures through the hole in the cabin, he became petrified, as did the rest of the men. And they decided to kind of huddle together for safety and just security. They now began hearing stones also being pelted at the cabin and its windows.
Right.
And some of these rocks started coming down the cabin's chimney and into the fireplace.
Oh, God.
Yeah, these rocks were coming from all around the camp, which the men understood as the 8 men essentially just surrounding the cabin, and there definitely being more than at least 3 of them, because the man that looked through the hole where the chinking had come loose said there's at least 3, but now they all agree there's probably more than 3 of them out there.
Right.
It sounded like to the men that the stones being thrown turned into rocks from just the change in sound being hit against the walls and the windows. And then these rocks even eventually turned into small boulders.
Okay.
Even with these small boulders, the men could hear them being thrown onto the roof and then rolling off, hitting the ground with a huge thud. This was terrifying, as the thought of what could throw boulders that high and frequently definitely made the situation scarier to the group.
Yeah.
Eventually, the rock throwing stopped, but this only made way for the sound of what sounded like big, heavy fists being pounded on the walls.
Shit.
So it's kind of getting more violent.
Yeah.
This to the group of miners gave the impression that the creatures were attempting to actually enter the cabin to reach the men. And because of this, they quickly grabbed their guns and armed themselves.
Yeah.
Very smartly. The pounding and the shaking really reached a head. And one of the 8 men actually managed to breach the walls of the cabin. The creature literally punched a hole through 2 of the logs in the wall. And at first, it looked like it was trying to force its way in. The men then realized that when the creature reached in, it had found an axe mounted to the wall.
Oh, my God.
The The creature grabbed it, attempting to pull it through the outside, but fortunately this was unsuccessful as the axe wasn't able to fit through the hole that the creature had made.
Oh, God.
Which, what the fuck? What would you think if you just saw
like
this
best
huge...
and worst day of my life. Like, he didn't get the axe. The monster didn't get the axe to kill me.
God, you would just shit yourself seeing something like that trying to grab an axe.
Yeah.
The men were able to actually fend off the arm reaching through the wall, and it eventually just dropped the axe.
It's
and
literally
then
like Planet
fled.
of the Apes. You know, like the big monkeys start having weapons in like the new Planet of the Apes, and they've got like machine guns and shit. He's like, this is not right.
No, it's not right. Imagine what he could have done with that axe, because they're so strong. It could have just knocked the whole cabin down in one swing. So the attack on the cabin and the men became so severe that the group did eventually use their rifles in an attempt to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
The men would shoot their guns constantly out the doors and out the windows, trying to send away these creatures. This would quiet down the attack for a few minutes, but then it would just start right back up again moments later. After doing this for a while, it was suggested by one of the men that maybe if they all stopped shooting and only shoot when the creatures were attacking the cabin, it might send them a message that the only reason they were shooting was to defend themselves, but not actually harm the creatures, and this might stop the ape men from attacking. So they started doing this also because the men were running low on ammo.
Right.
So they kind of thought that if they just shot their guns in response to the attack, it would be almost like a peaceful message to the creatures.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work too well. So the men set up a sort of barricade around the inside of the cabin, aiming their guns through the chinking that had come loose from all the attacking that had occurred along the walls, waiting to only shoot when the creatures attacked. The men had clear shots through the chinking to the outside where the ape men were, had they needed to shoot, but at that moment they didn't really need to shoot, as it seemed like things had calmed down a bit.
Okay.
But then it all started up again.
Oh, okay.
Only this time it was on the roof of the cabin.
Oh my fuck. God. Okay.
They heard the creatures clambering up and walking on the roof while banging and slamming again the same way they did when they were on the ground. They rapidly fired shot after shot through the roof, attempting to stop the attack from above by the creatures. After they started shooting through the roof, the ape men seemingly moved onto trying to beat down the front door to make their way into the cabin. So these motherfuckers are just getting angrier and angrier and trying all they can to get into this cabin. The group of men braced the heavy logged entry door with a long pole taken from one of their bunk beds.
Right.
The creatures were pushing and pushing against the door while the men and the brace from the bunk bed resisted the push. But the whole structure was just vibrating from the creature's impact against it. Like, this was huge impact. So pretty, it's escalating for sure. Eventually, the men pulled out their rifles again because it felt like the ape men were going to topple the whole cabin because they started pushing against the walls as well as the front door. The men started firing round after round into the doorway, and the gunshot did seem to scare them away from the door. So finally, after all of this, the attack stopped around daybreak, around the same time that the men were firing into the door. So this must have been successful in shooing them away.
Yeah.
And when it seemed like the creatures had mostly left, one of the men bravely stepped outside the cabin to see what he could find. To his surprise, one of the creatures was still there, lurking around the cabin. Surprisingly, he wasn't expecting this at all.
Yeah.
The man fired his gun at the ape man, hitting him and sending him flying off into the gorge, which was roughly a 400-foot drop down.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so this would have, hurt him for sure.
Oh, yeah.
After this happened and the sun was starting to rise, the men left all their gear in the cabin and just trekked it back through the forest and down the mountain, thankfully not encountering the creatures again. So they did not waste any time packing up their shit. They were out of there.
Oh, worst night ever.
Worst night ever.
Holy shit.
So this whole story, it had been relayed by a man called Fred Beck, who was one of the miners in the cabin, and he was really the mouthpiece for what had happened to him and the other men. And he's copped a lot of criticism about this story because he has taken a pretty supernatural take on the whole thing, which I've decided to not include in my story because it does kind of take away from the main points and what happened. It does kind of delegitimize it a bit just to put someone's opinion of what is going on into it. So that's just why I haven't included it.
Yeah.
There are other names of the other men from the group scattered around the internet, but none gain more attention than Fred Beck and his recounting of the story. So the other men did talk about it, but he was the main one that spoke to the newspapers and stuff.
Yeah.
Fred Beck, he theorizes that the ape men came to attack the cabin because of the two men when they were collecting water and fired at the first creature that was originally seen, and then they fired at him. He thinks that the group of ape men were basically like taking revenge, essentially. But also, I don't know if this fully makes sense because they were hearing whistling around the cabin before the two men fired at that first original like ape man that they saw when they were collecting water.
It could have been like a warning maybe, and then they saw that as like, okay, no, they're actually threatening us now when they did the gunshot. So I don't know. Yeah,
totally. That could be exactly what happened. So when this story got out, after being published in many different newspapers at the time across America, a lot of hunters went searching for the ape men on the mountain, only to be unsuccessful in their attempts. This event of large groups of people searching for the mystery creatures became known as the Great Ape Hunt of 1924. Wow. And the location became known officially as Ape Canyon after the attack, as I mentioned earlier. It is speculated by some that this story was just a hoax in order to get attention or to keep people away from the group of men's claim, like their gold claims.
Right.
But the thing is, there wasn't much gold searching going on when they were just basically being chased by they didn't have any gold to kind of protect, basically.
Now, they're not rich men now, so there's no gold that they went back for. And
not
only
Fred
Beck is the one that's like telling the story. Like all the other men like aren't gaining publicity for it. So stupid when people say this. Makes so angry.
And like they've copped nothing but criticism.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like they've received, praise and fantastic. No, it's just like you're crazy.
Yeah.
If that also truly was the plan, it had the opposite effect because it caused many to venture into Ape Canyon as opposed to keeping people away.
True.
It gained attention.
Yeah.
There was actually a $100,000 reward for anyone who could hunt and present the ape men, and $100,000 being the equivalent of about $1.5 million today.
Okay.
So it was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Fred Beck swore up to his death that the attack truly happened and none of the men made it up. Sightings of the 8 men are absolutely nothing new for the state of Washington, with the area being a literal hotbed of reports of Bigfoot and Sasquatch activity, just general cryptid activity.
Yeah.
After the eruption of Mount St Helens in 1980, the sightings of weird creatures in this area dropped dramatically. So is it possible that all the 8 men and other kind of weird creatures in the area died during the eruption?
Yeah.
Or, it's possible that Fred Beck and the men did just totally make it up. I guess this is possible, but I just don't see the group of men gaining anything from making this up,
Yeah. Nah, I agree. I think with these cases, like, there's just so much detail, and for so many men to stick to that story for so long and to not actually gain anything from it. They haven't gained anything. I mean, no one gains any publicity from these situations. Well, they do, but they become the laughing stock of everything.
Oh, it's bad publicity.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Fred Beck wrote a book about his experience, but I'm pretty sure it was later on in life, and he didn't make any money from it.
Yeah.
It was, like, even more so kind of like people being you're crazy.
This is the thing, it's such a niche topic as well, especially, like, back then. Like, it's only been, like, really, I feel like the last, like, 10, 15, 20 years where, like, cryptids have, like, really become, like, more of a topic that people have been interested in and want to learn more about. So selling a book about your Bigfoot story, like, back then, no one's gonna fucking give a shit unless they
God, you would be like sent away.
Yeah, like, oh, we don't need your book in our bookstore, please go away. Like,
no, what, 1924?
Oh my,
that's, you couldn't
there's
even
bigger issues happening in 1924.
Yeah, if you didn't go to church, you would be fucking shot down. No. It was pretty extreme. Not that extreme, but it was pretty extreme.
I know what you mean. Like, it's pretty very outlandish to say something like that back then when everyone's so conservative,
Yeah, and
I think that
as I said,
happened for sure.
For sure. 60 years of, like, talk of mountain devils on, in the area. And then other miners' experiences always kind of being spoken about.
Yeah.
So there was definitely talk of shit happening.
Yeah.
And as I said, this was a group of big, tough miners, which I know sounds kind of cliche, but back in those days, if you're a miner, you're pretty
They're
callous.
Confronted by big monkey men, they're not going to fucking, say, oh, we got, like, defeated, we ran and we left all that shit. Like...
And we huddled in a group to, protect ourselves, and we ran off without all our gear, and it's not happening. So, I think it's a pretty, famous
love that
story in the crypt. It's so great. Yeah, I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it, and I remember when you mentioned the name, I was like, oh, I have to research what that is and, look at it. And then I read the story, and it's pretty amazing and pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I love that it's got so many people involved in it, and it's such an old one too, because you don't really hear of many longer encounters like that from, like, you hear little bits here and there, but for having such, like, a good long encounter, it's pretty fascinating. It's a great one. You did that well. I'm so happy you touched on that. That was great.
Yeah. It was really exciting also because I pretty much never do cryptid stories.
I know. I love when you do the cryptids. It's great.
I'll have to do more of them.
It's funny because I did my
paranormal
exciting.
one
and you did a cryptid one.
A cryptid one. We did our reverses. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it is cute. I know.
All right. Well, I hope everyone out there enjoyed this episode for the week. It was a really fun one. If you want to get in contact with us or follow us on social media, we're Spooky Mountain Podcast all across the board. Our email is spookymountainpodcast@gmail.com. And we've got Facebook and YouTube with some cool shit on that. And
absolutely. If you've got anything you want to let us know, we'd always love to receive an email from you or a message or, don't hesitate to reach out to us anytime or leave a review as well, because we'll read it out on an episode. But yeah, we love your support, everyone. Thank you to our patrons as well.
Yes,
big thank you to you guys. And we'll have a break next week, so we'll be back on the 12th of January, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, hope you guys have a good New Year.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye. Bye.
This episode of Spooky Mountain was created and recorded on land of the original custodians, the Gundungurra and Bidjigal people. We pay respects to the past, present, and emerging mob. My name is Jordi, and I'm a proud Gunya woman. Thank you for listening.